speaking of conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists prompted by fake information, Stu Peters is a right-wing political commentator. And he responded to the news, the really heartbreaking news, that the Ocean Gate submersible, the little mini submarine sort of thing that went down to see the Titanic and ended up imploding, and the people in it died. Super heartbreaking. And Stu Peters responded to this with a conspiracy theory. Okay. The point of this segment is not just to talk about Stu Peters. He's one political commentator. Okay. He does actually have individuals like RFK Jr., Andy Biggs, a congressman, on his show. So clearly there's some audience there. But it's a larger point about when you buy into conspiracy theories and when you start looking at the political world through that lens because you want to fit your kind of facts or your made up facts into a worldview. You want to feel that certain truths aren't actually true and to kind of avoid the cognitive dissonance that so many people want to avoid based on facts that contradict with their worldview. And once you do that, sometimes your brain can just break and everything becomes a conspiracy theory. The lens now to see the world is just completely fogged by conspiracy theorist thinking, and that's what we have here.
Chances are by this point, all of the people on that submarine that sank trying to reach the Titanic are dead. From running out of oxygen, if not from having the entire sub implode like an aluminum can. At least that's the story that literally every news outlet is running with. But you know our policy. If the entire media is in alignment on something, then there's probably something hidden. What if all of this is actually a ploy to keep people from visiting the Titanic wreckage? But if that's the goal, why? Maybe because if people explore the Titanic too much, they would discover that it wasn't an iceberg that sank the Titanic. There's a lot of alternative theories about how that sinking occurred. That it was intentionally sunk as part of an elaborate insurance scam, and even that it was sunk by a newly created Federal Reserve. Zach Voorhees is a reliable software engineer who turned whistleblower from inside of Google. He's been exploring all of...
I love that. The guy who's about to tell me about this conspiracy theory, I promise he's reliable. So his belief is that because all of the media is in alignment reporting information on this submersible that imploded, there must be something else there. And maybe this was an attempt to cover up the truth about the Titanic and its wreck and its sinking. Interestingly, other people have seen the wreckage of the Titanic. So why now they would start preventing people from doing so, I don't really know. Also, for something that happened over 100 years ago, who is wanting to cover up the information if it was an insurance scam or something like that? I have no clue. Also, big one, no evidence to what he's saying, and just asking a vague question is not a replacement for actual evidence for an alternate theory. Now, number one point on that is that when you start thinking conspiracy theorists, in certain facets of life, it carries over into everything. Even a not necessarily inherently political story becomes a conspiracy theory because that's the way your brain kind of works now. And also, number two, I want to drill in on that point of if all the media is in alignment on something, it's Stu Peters' policy, and a lot of people say this, suspicious, that something must be getting hidden. Really? Is that reasonable, logical? Because I can tell you all the media is going to be in alignment on drinking water is good, that you should probably do that. It's probably good to stay alive to drink water. Does that mean they're covering up the fact? Interesting. CNN, MSNBC, they all accept the idea that drinking H2O is somehow good for you. What does that mean? Maybe we should stop drinking H2O. There's some alternate theories. Reliable software engineer is going to come join me to talk about this. It's so bonkers. People have gotten this idea that it's just as reasonable to lay out without evidence what could be an interesting alternate theory. That's just as reasonable as what has evidence to it. And so because the mainstream narrative often is the one that has a lot of evidence to it, a lot of times when we say this event happened this way, it's because most of the evidence points to that direction. That's just as fair of an argument as something that you can vaguely ask questions about that's kind of interesting for your mind to ponder about. And that's not the reality. And it's concerning that a lot of people take that seriously. And I'm pretty sure Stu Peters is the same guy, if not one of these right-wing commentators who responded to the visit from Biden back when he visited Ukraine and said, was this really fake? Was it in front of a green screen or something like that? There were all these theories in this kind of same media space talking about that. Why does everything have to be fake even when there's not a plausible larger goal at play? Very bizarre. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are able to be uploaded to the YouTube channel, plus get the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.